What is up, people of the internet, and welcome to A Week in My Life in UBC Engineering. My name is Avery and I'm a first year engineering student at UBC, and I will be sharing with you what a typical week looks like in first year UBC Engineering. As I showcase a bit of my morning routine first, I'll give you a little bit of insight into my school life. I am currently taking 6 courses at the moment, each of which I will explain in more detail throughout the week as they happen. I am also a commuter student as well, which partially explains why I wake up so early. It usually takes me about an hour to commute to campus, and it's always so dark in the morning the time I leave. But it does give me about an hour every day to sleep on the bus. Today is Monday, and my Monday schedule looks like this. AppSci 100 at 9 a.m., Econ 101 at 11 a.m., and an online Chem 154 lab from 2 to 5 p.m. Starting with my AppSci 100 class, this class is an introduction to engineering through a combination of lectures, screencasts, studio sessions, and projects. Today we started a new module on prototyping in our lecture, and one of the activities was to guess the object from the prototype.
Wait, huh?
So this is a surgical tool.
What?
And to practice our sketching skills, which I am obviously still working on. But AppSci 100 is always a lot of fun, especially with my group G5, which I believe is the best group of the class. Next, I had a short 1 hour gap where I went into the Irving K. Barber building, or IKB for short, to do an online quiz for my econ class. I like to sit in the library overlooking Learner's Walk because it just looks really nice outside, especially when it's not dark and miserable. With my online quiz completed with a 9 out of 10, I walked right next door to Buchanan where my Econ 101 lecture was, conducted by the infamous Professor Gateman, or Prof G. Only Prof G would have the audacity to make his own textbook of the lecture slides, unmistakably named the G book, and basically force his students into buying it so that he could explain supply and demand in the 3rd week of class. Anyways, I still actually really enjoy going to my econ classes, and they are a fun break away from all my engineering courses. After econ was done around 12 p.m., I went to my collegium to eat lunch, which I will talk more about on Friday, and then I headed to the Place Vanier Commonplace to attend my online Chemistry 154 lab with some of my friends. Now, allow me to rant a little bit on how absolutely stupid this quote-unquote lab is. First of all, this is an online chemistry lab. Think about that. An online chemistry lab. That's already dumb enough. What's even more head-scratching is that we don't even get to simulate our quote-unquote experiments. We are given data probably from the science students who actually did the experiment for us to use for our calculations. I could go on for hours about just this one part of Chem 154, but I will save you the spiel, and I will say that I finished the lab assignments quite late and didn't leave campus until about 5:40 p.m. I got home around 6:50 p.m., ate dinner, and prepared for tomorrow by setting up all my notes, and watched some Chem 154 pre-lecture videos as well, and then crashed into my bed around 10:05 p.m.
Perfect, 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 perfect.
Alright, it's Tuesday and also the first day of November. My schedule for Tuesdays looks like this: a Math 100 lecture at 10 a.m., a Physics 157 tutorial at 12:30, a Physics 157 lecture at 2 o'clock, and a Chem 154 lecture at 3:30. Starting with my Math 100 lecture at 10 a.m., I first need to give a huge thanks to my Calculus 12 teacher in high school because without her, I really wouldn't be surviving Math 100 right now. Our lecture today was on differential equations, and it was a particularly intense lecture as I filled up 3.5 pages of notes. Just for context, I usually only fill up about 1 page. Next, the boys and I walked over to the HEB building for our Physics 157 tutorial.
Oh, hey, Eng kids.
Eng good.
Eng kids.
Going to go to head.
I have clinical depression.
Where we discussed and completed an assigned worksheet on our own with a TA present to help out. I got my worksheet done pretty quickly because I worked on part of it the day before, so I ended up helping out some of my friends with it. Conveniently, right after our Physics 157 tutorial, we had our Physics 157 lecture, where we were taught about the basics of entropy in thermodynamics. My professor used the analogy of frogs to demonstrate entropy, and let's just say we had some fun with the eye clicker questions.
William, what do you think the frogs represent?
Yeah.
E.
E. Overall, Physics 157 is one of my favorite classes this semester, and my professor is also really good as well. Last in my day, and certainly least, but not according to my friends apparently.
Yo, we love gangs. We stand for him.
Guys, choose STT-19.
He talks more about Pokemon than actual chemistry.
Yeah, exactly.
Is my Chem 154 lecture. I'll just say it, I left my lecture 30 minutes early. It was just so boring, and also my professor is really quite bad. This is also his first time being a professor. I told myself at the beginning of this course that I could learn more from the organic chemistry tutor on YouTube than in my lectures, and I still think that holds true today. Besides, a benefit of me leaving early is that I can beat the 5 o'clock rush hour at the bus loop when it seems like everyone leaves campus at that time and all the buses are packed to the brim. Luckily, this bus ride home was actually quite empty and calm. I got home at around 5:45 p.m., ate my dinner, cleaned myself up, imported all of my footage from today, and started writing the script for exactly what I'm reading right now, and then I went to bed at around 10:05 p.m. Alright, it's Wednesday, and right off the bat, I'm gonna say that I forgot to film or couldn't film many parts of my day today, so apologies for that. And additionally, I did skip one of my classes that day as well. It was just a tutorial, but we'll get into that later. My Wednesday schedule looks like this: a Math 100 small class lecture at 9 a.m., Words 150B at 10 a.m., Econ 101 at 11 a.m., and a 4-hour gap until my Econ 101 tutorial at 4 p.m. In our Math 100 small class lecture, we just did some more practice with the differential equations concepts we learned yesterday, with some additional applications. I will note that with my small class lectures in Math 100 and Words 150B, I'm not able to film that much because they are small class lectures. Next, I went back to my favorite spot in the IKB library for my Words 150B lecture, which just so happened to be a Zoom lecture that day because my professor was slightly ill. We didn't really do much in this class because we had just submitted quite a big assignment, but we did cover the timeline of our big assignment this semester, a literature review paper. Then I walked into my Econ 101 lecture to hear Mozart's Lacrimosa being played over the lecture hall speakers. A lot of weird things come out of Econ 101. We discussed more about perfect competition in markets, and the concept of Cafe 101 was born. See what I mean? Unfortunately for the rest of my day, I forgot to record a lot of footage, but basically here's the gist of what happened. I ate lunch and did some work in my collegium, skipped my Econ 101 tutorial session, which my TA, who is super chill, said was completely fine at the beginning of the course, and bussed home on pretty much an empty bus. I got home around dinner time, and after I ate and showered, I did a bunch of miscellaneous tasks in an evening study session, including some Chem 154 self-learning about enthalpy and Hess's law, thank you to the organic chemistry tutor, downloading all of the previous Physics 157 midterms from the last 11 years to study from, and working on an enthalpy practice assignment before crashing into my bed at an extremely late 11:40 p.m. I was so tired. Thursdays are quite interesting days because I actually go to a lecture that isn't in my timetable, but it ultimately benefits me. I will explain later. My Thursday schedule should look like this: an AppSci 100 studio session at 10 a.m., a Physics 157 lecture at 2, and a Chem 154 lecture at 3:30. But in practice, it actually looks more like this. Move Chem 154 right up before Physics 157. As I explained when I had Chem 154 on Tuesday, my professor is not the best, to say the least. Luckily, I found another Chem 154 lecture that A, has a way better professor, B, can fit into my schedule, and C, allows me to leave campus 90 minutes early. I consider that a triple win. I used to be skeptical of skipping my lectures and going to other lectures, but now I consider it as me being proactive with my learning, as I can barely stay awake in my assigned Chem 154 lecture. But before that, I had my AppSci 100 studio session, in which we focused on generating ideas for an adaptive device for a client with limited arm mobility. We did some sketching and eventually attempted to prototype our sketches with Play-Doh, which I thought was pretty fun. And as a cherry on top, we received our 3D printed keychains that we had as a CAD software assignment. And to fit with the theme of this channel, I decided to make a YouTube play button for this assignment. It actually turned out pretty well, albeit quite tiny, but I am pretty proud of what I made. I've already talked about Chem 154, so let's skip right after that to Physics 157, where we continue to analyze the concept of entropy, what the graphs look like, and how they relate to other factors such as heat and efficiency. Another note on Physics 157, there is quite a large volume of work to complete every week, with reading quizzes, tutorials, mastering physics homework, written homework, and weekly quizzes. That last one, the quizzes, they open on Thursdays at 5 p.m., which you can see me doing right now. These are open book quizzes, and I basically just write down every single formula and constant that may be relevant to the quiz at the top of my page, just to help me out. After I ate dinner, I worked through some of the AppSci 100 screencasts and quizzes for this week, which are just a series of videos and short quizzes each week to test your knowledge on certain aspects of engineering related to your current project module. I also submitted the studio template for my AppSci 100 studio session earlier in the day, finished an assignment for Chem on Achieve, and I ended up not going to bed until about 11:45 p.m. How am I surviving right now? It's the end of the week, so let's finish up on a high note. My Friday schedule looks like this: AppSci 100 at 9 a.m., Words 150B at 10 a.m., and Econ 101 at 11 a.m. It does look like quite a short day, but I did end up staying on campus for a few extra hours to study, among other things, which I will get into later. I always arrive on campus at least 20 minutes early, and that gave me time to complete a short quiz for Math 100 on web work before my AppSci 100 lecture. These quizzes are usually pretty easy and have questions from the assignment itself, so it was an easy 5 out of 5 for me. In our AppSci 100 lecture, we were experimenting a bit with stress and bending forces by using popsicle sticks, just to get a sense of the physics we may need to consider in our adaptive device project. And also every Friday, we also usually have a spokesperson from a certain engineering discipline come in to talk about the program itself. Today's presenters were for mechanical engineering and biomedical engineering, both of which I have absolutely no chance to get into. Next was Words 150B, and I couldn't really film much because it is a smaller, more interactive lecture. But basically, we were just doing some short activities related to our big literature review due at the end of the semester. Oh, and one quick note about travel times between classes. You only get 10 minutes, and it is never enough for some distances. For those of you who go to UBC or have gone to UBC, I basically have to race walk to get from the Swing building for Words to Buchanan for Econ. And it's all the worse when it's rainy and miserable outside. My last class of the day was Econ 101, where we continued our quest to learn more about competition through markets in perfect competition. Weirdly enough, the key things that I took away from that lecture were that the only thing that makes UBC starter kits happy is more money, and that I am totally not ready for the midterm on Monday. Well, we'll see how that turns out. After Econ, I headed to my collegium, where I ate lunch and completed my Math 100 web work assignment. Basically, the collegiums are there for first-year commuter students as our home away from home. And it has become one of my favorite places to study and hang out because it just feels really cozy in there, and everyone is really nice as well. Also, big thanks to my friend Sam for helping me many times with my many small brain moments when doing that Math 100 assignment. And as a reward for my effective study session, I decided to play a little bit of Wii Party with a few of the people in my collegium. We recently got a Wii console in the Oak Collegium, and I've been dying to play as I haven't touched a Wii console in over 10 years at this point. And overall, I had an absolute blast playing Board Game Island with the others, but something tells me that the game was trying to screw me over with its insanely biased RNG. For context, I was the green player, but I will definitely be spending a lot more time in my collegium just so that I can grind Wii Sports. After getting absolutely by Wii Party, I bust home in the pouring rain. Thank God I was wearing vesties. I ate dinner, and I did some practice questions in preparation for my econ midterm next Monday, along with some scripting for this video. And that was a week in my life in first year UBC Engineering. As always, gently tap the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.